All right, everybody, welcome to the Mortgage Coach Trust Engine Friday Mastermind. Every Friday, we are bringing amazing guests on this stage and hopefully bringing value to you to be more productive. And I can think of no way to be more productive than to be more referable and to get referrals from people that love you. And there's no one better to do that than Mr. Bob Beaudine, the author of The Power of Who. Bob, welcome to the stage, my man.
It's so great to be with you, Dave. You're one of my fantastic who, somebody I just cherish as a friend, and I do anything for.
Well, you've done some pretty amazing things, and I'll bring you on stage formally in just a minute. I do want to give Todd Bookspan, CEO and founder of Win by Noon, a chance to say hi to everyone and kind of frame the call.
Good morning. It's been great. I've been gone for a couple of weeks, and in fact, I'm traveling again and wasn't going to be able to be here, but I said I have to get on because I think it's so important, right? This whole idea of who and of being referable right now. I feel like that is a big opportunity gap for a lot of folks in our community, and there's just no one better to learn and dive deeper with than Bob. So I'm excited that I had the opportunity to be here, meet him, and excited for you guys all to learn more. And then, of course, we've got our good friend, founder and CEO of Plug and Play SM. Welcome, Deborah Bird.
Good morning. I am fired up. When I first got into the business, switching from teaching to mortgage, your book was actually one of the first books ever handed to me. So I'm sure that's like a lot of people who are going to be on the call today. It was probably first book and one that you keep and you reread.
So The Power of Who is without question one of the 10 most important books I've ever read. It really not only helped me financially in business, but as importantly, no, more importantly, it just helped me connect with friends better. It helped me realize that being a good friend, having good friends is the power of life, and it's also good business. One of the experiences I had with Bob, I'm going to show a picture of this. Oh, wait. Didn't mean to show it that way. Let me show it this way. This was one of the many highlights I've had with Bob. He invited me to the dugout suite at the Texas Rangers, where he's what are you, Bob? You're like on the board of directors of the Texas Rangers?
Yeah, and so it was kind of a great opportunity. And of course, known George, President Bush since 1983. And so it was just kind of fun. He was a candidate of mine for when I did the search for the commissioner of baseball. And so we have a long, winding road that we've been together. And so it was really cool to get you all together with him because he's so down to earth. He's so authentic, so real. And of course, he loved you.
Yeah, no, it was a real highlight. So first of all, guys, when we walked in, came down, it was Bobby B, and it was just like two college buddies connecting. And, I call you Bobby B now. And as George W. left after, spending, I don't know, a couple hours together at the, in the dugout studio, he like, see you later, Big Red. And so that was definitely a highlight. But for all you new loan officers or anyone who doesn't know who Bob Beaudine is, I don't remember when you were in Sports Illustrated, but it was like one of the most powerful men in sports that you don't know. And I mean, I could go on with story after story. Bob has placed, the commissioner of baseball. Bob has placed the commissioner of the Olympics. Bob has placed, more athletic directors at top D1 programs than probably anyone. One of the most recent placements was Deion Sanders with Colorado. So someone that Deborah Bird and I absolutely love. We love Coach Prime. It's kind of like, he's the kind of coach that I think every parent wants to have coach their kids. Made me want to be like, God, I wish I could go back and play sports and get coached by a guy like that. So with that said, Bob, welcome to this mastermind in this community, brother.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do is to be on your program. And so this is a real Who honor for me to be able to do it on Who Friday.
Who Friday, baby. So before we get into the how to be referable, just tell us something about the Deion Sanders placement. Like, you're always good at telling stories from that. Any good stories as it pertains to Deion?
It's amazing how life comes and as you go about your life. 7 years ago, Deion Sanders, through one of his people, called in and said, "Hey, could I spend some time with you?" And I get 30, 40 coaches that come through our office for training and development, kind of figure out how they're going to get to the next tier. And they are normally thinking it's about what and not people. And so Deion wanted, because he's Mr. People, he wanted to come by and say, how would I get to be a head coach? How do I get into this field when I'm kind of a great player in the NFL and I've done baseball? I mean, his accolades are so big, but the biggest one is the personal qualities that he has that transcend the technical. And so much time people make a big mistake, as they do in referrals, they do with clients, is they come in and they're selling a pitch of what the information side without having first spent time and caring about people.
Hey, Bob.
And
Bob, your internet is spotty. If there's a way you could upgrade your internet? Like, I don't know if you're on the wrong internet or what.
yeah, that's interesting. Let me
Yeah,
see
you
if
froze up a little bit there, and like these stories are
not
so
good.
good, man. I want to.
I thought it was my hotel internet.
Yeah.
And it is a great story. And
I want to make micro content
Is
out
that
of this, brother.
any better?
Yeah, well, we're hearing you enough. I just want to
If
create
you're
some
not
micro.
hearing me enough, I'll switch to my phone in a second.
No, you're
So
good.
otherwise,
Let's keep going. Keep going down that story.
so he came to my office to learn how to win a job in coaching. And then, we spent some time. He's such a quality person. He's not Mr. on in front of the camera type person when you're really with him. He's a yes sir guy. He's very humble. He listens. He's taking notes about everything you say voraciously. And he's just the kind of person you really like. So we spent time with him. And then, as time goes on, I had a chance to get to meet his agent, and we spent time a little bit getting to know that side, Constance. And so he came, when I got the job for Colorado, they were 1-11 last year. And it's really interesting as you go into a process and you're looking, but being in the Pac-12, it was the perfect job for a coach because in the Pac-12, you can win your conference. There's no one right now that's actually going to be the leader in that. And so everybody wanted my job. And so when we first started talking, and of course, a guy like Deion Sanders, he's a star. So he has 40 million people on social media. He's the number one, name, image, likeness person in the country. When he took the job, when we got the job for him, he had 2,000 kids, who were 4- and 5-star saying that they would want a portal and come to him immediately if they could have a chance to do it. And when you see someone every single day online talking about values, and he's someone who merges his spiritual values and his business values really well, and he cares about, it's like in our firm, one of the things my dad, when I first joined, it kind of tied with Deion when he saw it on my wall, is my dad's comment was, make friends, help your friends in every way possible. Don't be surprised if you do a lot of business with your friends. And that's kind of opposite a little bit the way the world works, but that's how he works. He makes a friend of you right off the bat. And so we're so excited for him. He's got 45,000 people, coming to his spring practice. They're all paying to go, and they've never had probably 1,000 people come to their practice. And he sold out the entire, as Deborah and I were talking before, and he sold out the whole season already. And he's got his son coming. He's got the greatest portal players coming. I mean, he just runs it. I mean, he was on the cover of GQ the first week with his buffalo fur coat, and he's just not like anybody you would ever know. And he recruited really great. He recruited the defensive coach, co-defensive coordinator from Alabama. He got a top coach. So he's really putting together the team. So this guy, I'm telling you, the team is one together. So that's one of the great things about a process of a search, is just getting someone who's got such energy. He's a contrarian. I mean, he made a little comment, great story that he told me one time. He said, I was fishing on the side of a lake, and I'm looking, and then I'm thinking, I've got my son with me and we're talking about fishing on the side of the lake, and here comes this boat coming by and they're doing fishing, and son looks and goes, well, man, we should be like on the boat. That would be a whole lot better than us sitting on the side. And he said, Dad, what do you think? And he says, I think we should own the lake. And that's just who he is. He's a guy who thinks bigger than anybody else. And you love being with big people. And he always believes that we are all better than any one of us. And so such a crucial piece that you got to remember in this process is he just thinks there's nothing that we can't do. And so as we talk today about success in the real estate market, which has been in a storm, I will tell you that he's faced a lot of storms in what he does, because even wherever he goes, people have a comment about who he is and who they think he is, and that he's never done this before and he's not da-da-da, or they're talking about his faith, or you can't do that, or you can't do this. He always turns and says, listen, if I get excited about you talking about my life and I get really enamored with it, then you own the TV turner for my life. And if I go down, you're going to take me down too. So he says, I don't really think that way. And I can promise you, we gotta understand and learn the power of a response today, because that's a crucial matter for our success.
Oh man, what a great start to this call, guys. So here's how I want to frame it. And then Bob, I just want you to rip, the power of a response. I want to hear what that means to you. But I want everyone listening to this, if you're a loan officer, one of the best ways you gain market share, this is a market share market, like 2020, 2021, those were volume markets. This is market share. And you know how you get market share? You recruit realtors. You get more referral partners doing business with you. If you are a head of production or a CEO and you're running a company, how are they getting market share? They're teaching their loan officers to recruit realtors, and they're recruiting loan officers. Like, everybody is recruiting in the business right now, because that's how we gain market share. And here's the deal, guys. You have one of the best recruiters on planet Earth on this call right now. So pay attention. The man has been a recruiter his entire life. Bob, how many years now have you focused on sports as your theme?
So I've done over 30 years, and I created the market. And I want to make sure you can hear me and everything, but it's been over 30 years, and I have done 43 years of executive recruiting. And so it gives me a chance to, I started a market that no one had ever done in sports. No one had ever done a search for professional or for college or for coaches. It was all done through the good old boy network, right? Somebody passing on and saying, here's who your next coach would be, and here's who this is. And so no one ever did that before. And so having got into that, I have a specific, the 5 things in how do you recruit great people to your organization, and what should you look at, and what's both sides of that equation. And then I also want to talk a little bit about the 3 things that people think about when you walk in the room. And if you knew these 3 things of people that you wanted to do business with, or people that you were trying to recruit, these 3 things, it's like me giving you the test answer before the test, and it's going to change the entire trajectory of your business.
So I can't wait to do those 3 things. Bob, I am going to call an audible right now, because your internet connection as is, we still got 45 minutes. So this is the first quarter, and we got 3 quarters to play. So why don't Deborah and I chat for a minute while you use your phone and log back in.
I'm going to plug back in. You got it.
All right.
I'm in.
So hey, Deborah, how fired up are you right now?
Dude, as soon as he said Deion Sanders, like, I'm trying to control myself from the excitement, but how do we get him on an interview? I mean, wouldn't that be rad?
That's Deborah's dream. I think you slide into his DMs. I thought that's how you do everything, Deborah.
Hey, I've already been working it. What's crazy is his kids, his son went to the same high school that my niece went to, because he used to live in Prosper.
So you guys should be best friends.
I mean, she did tell me that his son used to kind of tease her a little bit. And I was like, can I use that as my angle, Peyton? Like, is that my in for Deion?
I love it. I love it. So, hey, by the way, Jan, I am going to do a chat GBT session later on this afternoon with Robert Stover. And I had the opportunity to get Bob on this call. So we moved Robert. I think he's next Friday. We're going to do another Chat GBT workshop, but this is Bob Beaudine, and trust me, this is pure gold. Todd, I know you're going to have to jump soon. Anything you want to say before?
Well, I just want to, let's just keep the frame. I mean, again, you have someone who's obviously established himself as not just an expert, right? He's an innovator, right? Someone who actually created a whole new thing in the sports world. And the fact that he already teed us up that he's going to give us the 3 things you need to know about the person, and get to learn about them when you meet them and walk into the room. I think that's really the game changer, right? What I'm finding in my conversations right now with loan officers is their struggle to connect, not just with their clients, but with the realtor partners of really trying to figure out what's important to them and how to add value. So yes, I have to jump, but I'm definitely going to come back, listen to the rest of the call, because I have no doubt that what Bob is going to share with all of us is going to be a game changer for all of you.
Yeah, no doubt. And Marina, what's up? I see you are watching us on Facebook Live. Guys, if you do have questions throughout this call, whether you're watching this on Facebook, whether you're watching this YouTube later on, put your questions down below. This will be not the last time I interview Mr. Bob Beaudine. And also, I have interviewed Bob many a times. If you just go to our YouTube channel and search within our channel, Bob Beaudine, you'll get all those interviews. So Bill, Bob, I can already tell the connection is better. So let's rock it out.
Fantastic. Can you hear me good?
Oh my God. Yes, we can hear you perfect.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry that occurs, but that just means something great's about to occur.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, hey, it was all good. And remember, everybody watching this, use those little emojis, those little reactions. You know, if you love what he says, give us a love. If you just like it, clap. So let's go, Bob. Talk about the reaction. Talk about the 3 things.
Okay, so listen, there's 3 things that people think about when you walk in a room. And these 3 are huge. And most people miss this. But the very first thing is they think, do I know you? And so that's the first thing. If you know their best friend or someone they know, we're 87% chance of doing the deal or closing this or getting a person to all of a sudden move us one step further to recruiting someone great because they're already known. The first facet here is 87 versus 13. In every search, people misunderstand that you were given specific people in your life to help you. You have friends. The reason I wrote The Power of Who is that you had to understand that the world uses a thing called networking, which is not working, which is faceless, which is handing out business cards to strangers, sending out Dear Recruiter letters, trying to get cold calls and massive emails. And every one of us hate that. And so the concept of us doing that is below us. It's like saying, hey, here's Dave, and Dave, meet Bob, and it's a network meeting. Why don't you put a stick in my eye? And so I'm just not doing that at this stage of my life. I already know everyone I need to know. So the first thought is you already know everyone you need to know to come up to these 3 things. So most people don't think they do it. So as a result, they don't do the homework. They didn't do something, and they never looked up the person that you're trying to meet. You heard something about them. You looked up on LinkedIn. You looked up and threw someone on something. You see in their background where they went to school, where jobs they had, what they did. And so anything less than trying to figure out who this person is, then it kind of all of a sudden is lazy. And so when I was writing a book, I didn't know who to find as an agent. How would I even know that? I didn't do that. I went into Barnes and Noble. I started looking at self-help books. I find that this person that they say in acknowledgments is Jan Miller. And so I do it. I come back, and I don't know if Jan is like Jan and Dean back, and shows my age back in the old surfing days of thinking of people who sang. But mine is that I looked and I found I didn't know. So I sent it out to 20 of my friends, the people I was given in life who are my who. See, we can't look at someone one-dimensionally. They got friends, so we look at them who dimensionally, which is a wild thought, but God's really a ninja here. And so I sent it out to 20 and said, does anybody know Jan Miller? And boom, all of a sudden 5 did. I sent back the 5. Who knows Jan Miller the best? It's one friend of mine. And all of a sudden, Keenan Delaney, and Keenan says, I roomed at her house with her and her husband when I graduated from Ohio State years ago. And so of that relationship, that opened the door. And then she signed me and she's the #1 person in the country. She signed me, gave me a huge upfront bonus, and my power who was off. How does that relate to you? you start out and you want to get to know someone that you're trying to recruit. You're trying to get someone that you're trying to do a piece of and do something in some facet of the mortgage business with them. The first thought is always who, not what. Who do you know who knows this person? Number two, do I like you? So if you're in a meeting with this person and Dave Savage introduces me, right? And I got this person, the woman already loves me because they love Dave. And so my logic is I'm going to talk about Dave for the first 5 minutes. Did you know that interviews are over in the first 5 minutes? So everyone knows who the winner is. If I brought the 5 best football coaches in the room and it's Deion and it's Matt Rule and I bring in Dabo Sweeney and I bring everybody into this thing and we all sit, each of you who I bring in with me will know in 5 minutes because of the energy and the aspect of the confidence that they know of the person they're talking to. And you think of it in another way. Let's just say I'm walking into a meeting and the two of us, we're sitting here. Dave and I are going to go in and we're trying to get our next at this meeting. Dave goes in first and he does this fantastic. And I see them coming out and I'm the competitor and they shake hands and it really looks good. And they say, great job. And then I walk in and Dave looks back at me, okay, with the same person he just met and they hug me. You're in trouble. I got who? And this is the point is that wouldn't it be logical that listen, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. And so if I have my best friend tell me, okay, that you're already the best person, I like you. I mean, Dave started out his program today and showed that all of a sudden, he's not just at a baseball game. He's down in the bunker suite meeting the president of the United States, and he's hanging with him. And my guy, okay, is as president, is loving on him. They're talking business and relationships and fun, and they're sitting down, having a drink and relaxing. How did that occur? You can't why? Well, people matter most. Our heart knows it. God taught us. We forgot. The pandemic has been a disaster for people. It got everyone into their houses, and you were told to be seen and not heard. You were told to stay in your place. Don't go out. This is your business as people. Do I know you? Do I like you? And the third one is, are you the best for me? So are you the best for me? So now this is only 6%. So we already know that the first two are correct because references, endorsements, and testimonials are your greatest allies in life. And number two is if talent was the reason everyone got jobs, and that's the reason everyone's going to get the person to recruit or anything, if that talent, then we wouldn't have Congress and Senate because they're all terrible. So the concept is.
By the way, that was funny. That was funny.
So we've got to understand the facet of when we have a meeting and when we're going to go about this. This is about relationships. So now when they come in, when you go into the meeting, the person you're recruiting isn't someone who's just anyone. You already know that they're hot. And so the answer is that they're hot. And so what I want to get is, do you understand, is they're the who in this meeting. So we should study who we're trying to recruit and know everything about them, their family, their history, everything about them, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. And they want to know, are you the best for them? And so when I get into my 5 reasons people like to recruit next, it's this key. But listen, we already know everyone we need to know, the one person we needed to know, and then we get to make our pitch as to why you should join us. So great segue. Why should you join? The reason I'm really, really, really the best at recruiting, and I can recruit people. I just did a recruit for the head of real estate for all of Hunt Oil and all their Hunt group. This is the largest real estate group in Dallas. And so they own, the major hotel with the ball when you fly in and you see our deal as you come in. And so they have the big area out north in Frisco where they own now the PGA of America's come in, and it's called Fields, and it's 2,500 acres of the greatest thing. And so I put in their top real estate person. And since he's even joined there, he's just done the 3 biggest deals that have ever happened and totally transformed where they are. How do you recruit someone who's really great? 5 things. 1, people who are great want these things. So I don't care about your job description. Stop your job description. Stop your newsletter. Stop this. What is the greatest people looking for? And if I've got that, you're coming with me. Number one, they want to go where they're celebrated, not where they're tolerated. So, come on. I mean, if you're on something, and when you see Dave and I, and you come into a meeting with Dave and I, you know what's so fantastic about this, and it would be the same with Deborah in this process, is if I came into the room, you would see our energy, the three of us together. We have fun. We don't like our business. We love our business. And you can never be successful at what you like. You have to love it. And to love something, you have to be able to create an atmosphere that's unbelievable. Now, each person within us carries a personal environment, and it's invisibly transmitted to everybody in the room. And so I can tell if the storm around you in real estate has got you bummed, or you're believing the circumstances. And so how you respond to something is a difference of something. It didn't say that this wasn't, the problem is that you could have a controlled perception, okay, about the situation. And that's not a denial of reality. It's a situation that you're deciding that that trouble is an opportunity in disguise. So when you sit and you have that, and you're trying to recruit people, why would they want to join if you're not something that's going to be the most fun, the most exciting, that everyone in the room is high-fiving each other, everyone likes each other, everyone's sharing. One of the things that I found, because Dave and I do this all the time, is great people like Dave Savage, they like to share great ideas because they got lots of ideas. Good people, they got a couple. They ain't going to share those with you because they think, hey, life's scarcity and I might lose my one good thing I got. It's just a disaster for them. One, go where you're celebrated. So I have to feel that when I meet you, you already know something about me. You're excited to meet me. You already have a plan, because if you don't have a plan for your life, then someone has one for you. And I don't know about you, but I don't want somebody else's plan. That's kind of that's a threat. So number one is I got to have this. Number two is, listen, you got to have great tools. So what are your tools that you're giving me? So some facet is that the tools are going to be related around better training, better mentorship, an ability to sit in rooms where I normally couldn't get in the room, that you would give me advice about turning a deal, and you had that one key that could give me the piece. And just if I sat around you, then I could turn this situation. When I first joined into Eastman and Beaudine, with my dad started the executive search industry in 1967, my first meeting that I went to was with Norman Vincent Peale. Okay, we were doing the head of publishing. Norman Vincent Peale is the individual who wrote the whole book on the power of positive thinking. He's the biggest name. He's like Billy Graham for positive thinking. He's Zig Ziglar. He's one of the monsters. To sit in a room like that and listen to people who are great, my dad would enter me into those stages. If you're someone who's great and you're trying to recruit great people, you got to have ability to say, I'm going to set up, like, here's Dave and Deborah and Paul and all these sides, what they're doing, and Todd and everyone around this, is they have set up meetings so that you could meet great people because they're associated with these great people. And they're giving you ideas. And the whole key in this is that I used to think people who wrote books were trying to schmooze me into reading their books so they could get rich. And then I read all their books and I found out they were already rich. And I was going to get the one or two great ideas. And if Dave knew that person, bam, I'm all of a sudden in. Do you know that I could introduce you to one person that could change the entire trajectory of your life? Just one. And you maybe don't know me, but you know Dave. And Dave could set up a meeting that could do that. That's the whole thing that started with Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders didn't know how to be coach. How would I get into coaching? So he spent a day. One person made the one call. He sat here. God has a bigger plan than Bob Beaudine. It's not power of Bob Beaudine. It's the power of who that you were given these people. Number one is you have to be celebrated with people, not tolerate. Two is you have to have tools. The number one tool that you got to give people is to empower them to do their job. And so they have to feel that they're not being micromanaged. They're great. great people hate to be micromanaged. What they like is tools that are going to actually do something. So if that meant there's specific benefits and things that go with this to allow me to get there, you got all those. I mean, you're just constantly creating podcasts and cool things and programs, and they're having you go places that other people don't let you go. 3, it's got to be really good for your family. Now, you can't win at the expense of your family. And so listen, great people can do their job in 80% of the time, which allows them to spend 20% more time on doing things on their goals and their dreams, and also to be able to do the things. And what we found during the pandemic is that people could go home and get a lot done that they didn't think they could do unless they were sitting in the office, and people were busy. Listen, busyness masquerades as effectiveness. And so I'm not really trying to do that. I'm trying to get in the right deals with the right people and recruit the right people, because we are all better than any one of us. So we have to get the best people, and you are who you associate with. And if you want to do great big things, you're going to have to do it. Family is really interesting. I would put that first, except I'm not telling my wife, or I'm not going to, you're not going to tell your husband that you're going to go to some firm if they were first tolerated and they're not celebrated and they didn't get good tools. So we're at the first 3. 4 is, what's the legacy here? Where are we going? Where's the succession plan? What do you see me? You should have a vision for each person that you're trying to recruit. And one of that is that you and I are going to be best friends. So on Who Friday, what I do on Who Friday is I send out a text message to all your friends and family and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate your friendship. I love you. Now, I send that to every one of my clients. So Deborah and I have met today. She lives near Frisco. And that's her office is right here. She lives in Allen. My 3 daughters are, one's in Austin, but 2 of my daughters are in Prosper, and one's a big monster influencer, Instagram influencer. But I want to just tell you is that she already knows just by the first time that I would tell her I love her. Why? Because there's 180 words in the Greek language for love, and they're all better than like. So I love my wife. Now will be Cheryl. We'll be married 40 years in September, and she's the love of my life and my best friend. But I also love tacos, so it's really confusing because we only have one word for love. And so what's the problem is we have taken and messed this all up. If you want to be successful in business, you have to love your clients, and they have to say, I love you. I'm just telling you right now, big monster. You want a legacy, you have to tell your people in your organization, I love you. Dave and I never finish a meeting ever without telling, hey, I love you. And we started that the first day we met at a Todd Duncan meeting where I'm giving the talk, and he sat at the table with me, and we looked at each other and go, seriously, I think I came just to meet you. I mean, how is it possible that I'm here and that you're giving this talk to 5,000 people and you're doing this? But life's really interesting that way. And so 1, go where you're celebrated. 2, great tools. You have to say something, rip it.
Well, I want to say something because that just brought back a memory. We were both speakers at Sales Master that year. We went and had a speaker dinner with Todd. You and I was blessed enough to get to sit next to you. And I mean, we had dinner together the next 3 nights. It was just this connection. And I do want to really emphasize, because the gift I got from our friendship that, we've had now for, I don't know how many years, but well over a decade. I feel like it's 15, 20, it's a long time. Is that you helped me be able to say, I love you to more people, which has just been amazing. When I used to travel, I would never stay with my friends, I always stayed in hotels. And now, when I travel and I have I have friends oh, you're going to be in town, stay with me. And I'm oh, I'm too busy. I'll come over for dinner, but I want to get out. And, what a blessing. I've stayed at your house a number of times when I'm in Dallas. So I just want to make sure we pause on that one, because I feel like that one, saying I love you to more people, connecting with people I love, looking to do business with people I love was transformative professionally, and it was transformational personally. So I just want to pause on that. I want everybody to think about that. I want you to kind of gauge, where are you? You know, I was raised in a family, like, my dad did not tell me he loved me until I was in my 20s. You know, didn't use that word. So I just want to know where you guys are at. And again, read this book. If this connects with you, listen to the recording of this again, and listen to some of the past interviews I've done with Bob. So keep it going, bro. I just thought that was such a
So good.
transformational concept.
So one of the things you said is, so 70% of men in the country have never had their dad say, I love you. And it's not because they didn't love them. It's their dads didn't love their dad. And their dad, and have come down generational. And so here's the problem also. So one of the problems is this whole concept of friendship, before I tell the fifth one, is that men over 35 stop adding new friends. They keep their old friends. They don't add new ones. And this is a disaster, because in this world, you're going to have trouble. And you get 12 friends, 3 close, 1 best, right? That's the whole point of the Power Who when you do it. When you start to realize that your friends were given to you to help you in your business, it's all one life. I don't live a compartment with Bob Beaudine over here and then another one over here. And so when you call, you're not really thinking, I don't know the doctors. I mean, you think I don't know the dentists, the lawyers, the person who's going to get you out. I just had a coach the other day call me, and he had, in the pandemic, he was an assistant coach, was very, very successful. And then all of a sudden got behind in his payments during the pandemic. And all of a sudden the homeowner's coming in and and he's on the phone with me, and he goes, what do I do? Now he knows one of my really good friends, but this is the first time we really had fun. And I turned to him and I go, okay, so I got a guy and I'm going to call you right back. And then I set him on a call, and then we vetoed that. They're not getting away with that. And so the problem is that life is tough. There's so much trouble every single way. And you know what you need? You need friends. The one thing that happens is that we're stopping. And so if you could hear a sense of friendship and love and celebration and treating people with integrity and care and empathy and compassion, if you could be a great friend. Friends are different than acquaintances. Friends help you now. You know, acquaintances wish you well. And, you know, a friend knows the song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you've forgotten the words. Okay, so you got to get now, and we've celebrated, we got great tools. Now understand, that's what you're going to try to get. You're going to try to show whoever you're recruiting. 3 is you're going to tell them that we've got a whole plan that, hey, listen, if you got a family, you got boys, and you want to coach, and you're going to do the other stuff, I don't care. The answer is, I just want to get this thing done. And you have your daughter, and she's doing this, and she's in dance, and you have to do this. Well, I'm all for you first, because I'm first for God, family, and then the people right in front of me, right? And you're in front of me. And the answer is if God gave you to me, then my job is to help you accomplish that. And you don't really think that I could tell you right now, if Dave and Deborah and I got together, we started our own business, we'd make millions. You already know it. And so the question is, it doesn't matter what business we did. Why? Because we understand the power of who and 2 chairs and this whole thing. So the last one is, people want to be paid well. And so come on, stop it. I mean, so you got to show people that you want them to become, okay, all that they could be. Every single person does one thing. Every single person listening today, you do one thing better than anybody in the entire world. And our job as your friend is to help discover that and bring it. And since you do that so well, I can humble myself to say, obviously, Deborah and Dave know more than me in some categories. And I'm always saying, what do you think? What's your advice? How do you do it? And then they're giving me advice, and that's making me stronger. Okay, so take those 5 things and look at the other way. When you're interviewing someone, again, you're not just bringing on anybody to your firm. I mean, they got to celebrate me. If they don't know anything about our firm before we started, they're already, in my opinion, out. I mean, I'm not even considering the fact that if they didn't do their homework beforehand and they didn't do it as much as I did for them, then they're not the quality of the person that I'm wanting, because I'm not going for good. I'm going for great. Two is tools. I'm looking for you to bring me a whole toolbox I don't even have. And so you got to look at their tools, and they got to be able to describe what they do and how they do it and their personal qualities that you see. And people have to, you doing references, endorsements, and testimonials, and people who did all that. That's it. Three is they got to join your family. This is a family that I've got in my business, in my little group. You're not just coming into it. I want to be the most proud. When you walk in, I'm going to be whoever comes in my office, I am immediately saying, oh my gosh, Deborah, come in here. Dave, oh my gosh, have you met these? And now when I interview someone, I want to meet their family sometimes to see how they introduce their daughter or son. And so how you introduce someone matters. And so I'm going to outrageously tell you why they're so fantastic. I'm going to embellish this to the level of what I believe in them. And it's going to be so wildly. I'm going to do things on social media about them. I'm going to come out immediately and tell the whole world that I have just recruited the Deion Sanders, okay? The ultimate winner. And and you know it, and I know it, and the world's about to know it, that they wish they had my person. And you can't get my person because they love me, and they're going to do something, because we're created to do something big. Okay, so second is, I want them to create a legacy for me and our business. That's what you're here for. We're not just coming in, we're wanting to win championships. So what does success mean for you? That's what you have to be able to identify before you ever start to interview people. What is your mission statement? What does your success look like as a firm? What would you identify and say why someone should want to be with you? If you start to do that, that's really good. And the last is, hey, I want you to make me a lot of money. And so the five work in total hand in hand. So it's really, really good. I'll throw it back to you, Dave. Or Deborah.
Wow. Well, so Deborah, get ready. I want to call out a few things, and then Deborah, either ask a question or call out what you want. But guys, from one of the world's greatest recruiters, you just got so much philosophy. You got so many great quotes. You got three things you need to do to get the job. I do want to call out the triangle for trust is a big term in the mortgage industry. But I want to call out, you said something, busyness is a masquerade. It masquerades as effectiveness. And I know so many people, myself included, like I catch myself doing this where I'm busy, but I'm not doing business. And I just want to call out everyone listening to this, that when it comes to that triangulating for trust, put more emphasis around that. You know everyone you need to know. Work harder to go after if you're going after realtors, work harder to get to the realtors where you do know someone. You know, don't chase people. I'm not saying don't chase people you don't know, but I am saying focus and prioritize on chasing the people that you do know. Anyways, bro, so much power. I've got other call outs, but I want to give Deborah a chance to either ask a question or call out what she thinks was most important of what you said.
Well, so first of all, when you were saying about being a friend, I think the first time I read your book, something that I struggled with and I'm still working on today is it's not only just being a friend, but also receiving a friendship and being okay with asking for help. And that is something that we were taught at a young age. We were raised by my dad, and we wore the mask, and we didn't say, I love you. And you don't ask for help. You don't show weakness. We would serve, everybody else and be a friend for everyone. But you can't really build that deep connection if you don't also have struggles that you're willing to reveal and allow someone to also help you. So if you're someone listening and you struggle with receiving help, then, I would read the book, because it helps you identify that. But also I want to mention, with running a social media company, it can be challenging at times with clients who get so fixated on follower count. And as much as I try to teach them that there's a difference between just, it's almost like empty calories of followers and an audience versus a community. Like Dave has been a great example of how he's built a community, which is different than an audience. So anything that you want to say of, when this is applied to social, and yes, I still, obviously you want to grow your influence and your visibility, but how would you apply this to social with, quote, the word friend?
So a lot of people don't understand sometimes. And when I use social media, and put up inspiration and encouragement every day. And what I do is I'm very forthright about it. And then I respond to every single person who makes a quote and a comment. And I have a large following and of people who come in and make things. But if they say something or share something, I'm commenting about them sharing it. Number two is I have people who send me notes and they're in trouble. And then, or they don't understand some comment. So like, for example, what a great comment, Deborah, on this is that it's so hard to receive something, okay? Because we've been taught our whole lives that asking is rude. Asking is something that you're not supposed to do because you're supposed to look this way. So there's two parts of my brain that drops endorphins into it and makes me euphorically happy. God has created our brain to do this way. And the two things aren't position, power, and money, okay, or sex. The two things are gratitude and giving. So I get a great aspect of joy and euphoric happiness when I am grateful to you and when I'm helping you. This is where great people understand that that helping other people is such a boost. Because you want to be in the room of the other people. If I knew that Dave's in the room and this is his charity and he's doing it, I want to be in the room with Dave and help him in his process, because that could be a chance for me, not manipulatively, but to be around great people and understand the law of reciprocity, because you can't outgive God. And but if I don't let you give to me and I don't receive it, then I also lose out on that and you do. So I can turn, and if you didn't receive my blessing that I just gave you what I gave, well, then I can't go back and tell my daughters, look what happened today. We did this and this happened. And now I got a generational blessing happening. And this is really good. And so one of the things on social is that social people are really interesting. You find really a lot in social. I don't allow like complainers and people who are just negative people. I didn't ask anything. I'm just trying to have people on it where I can really help and I could motivate you for the one day that you need it. And I can't tell you how many notes I get from people is that I can't believe you put this quote, because this is the one quote I needed that changed my day today. And so how many people are in trouble? So everyone we know someone right now who's in trouble, and they need us to send a text message today. I'm thinking about you and I appreciate you and I love you. So they need to hear that. And you think that they're not going to respond in this way. But if they came back and say, are you okay? And you say, no, yeah, I am. I just meant this for you. And then what happens is they want to send a love letter to you. It's really big. So in May of last year, I was asked to give the commencement address for Dallas Baptist University. And so the president of it was a big 2 chairs guy. My other book, 1 chair for you, 1 for God. You sit and talk in times of trouble, right? And you get a minute to talk and he gets 4. And of course, every day we hear the enemy talk to us and we're okay with that. But if we hear God one time, we're like schizophrenic. So people are really like, you're missing the mark here. Okay. The guy who created the whole world, he knows it's not too hard. He has a plan. But if there's a 1% chance he'd meet you, would you go? Everybody says to me, yes. And I say, where are you then? Okay. So I had to give this talk. And this guy's a big 2 chair guy. And I was thinking, why am I giving this talk? And it's kind of the whole, you have to get dressed up in the regalia. And it's very, all the families and all the big people. So I say yes. So I give this talk and I go up to everybody and I say to the students, oh my gosh, congratulations. You're graduating. I said, I'm so excited for you. I said, did anyone tell you, though, that you've been in a bubble here and that you're going to have to go out in the world and that 69% of the country hate their jobs and 80% are not using their number one talent and 62% of them are getting divorced? Did anybody tell you that they don't really like people who come from Dallas Baptist University and that you could be canceled and the world is this, and in this world, it's trouble. And so I got their attention and I said to them, so listen, I want to leave something indelibly on your heart. And that is, there was a guy who wrote one of my favorite books, and it's called Man's Search for Meaning, and it's by Viktor Frankl. And he was in a Nazi death camp, and they killed his mom, they killed his dad, they killed his wife and all his kids, and he was being moved from one Nazi camp to another and being tortured. And then he said this one line that I told him. I said, I want you to indelibly write it on your heart. He said that between any stimulus, whatever's happening to you in the market of real estate right now, you came into you're now said, I missed the early time. The interest rates are going up too much. I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to get that. The world's got problems. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do. Everything's starting to be fearful. All this stuff is everything going in. And I'm so bothered. Here's a guy who's killed everyone in his family. He said, between any stimulus and your response is a space, and you get the power to choose your response. If you choose an emotional one, you're going to spiral down. There is no neutral ground in tragedy. I told them. I said, you're either going to be faithful or fearful. You're going to either be faithful that there's something bigger than this, or you are going to all of a sudden have no peace and you're in trouble. And so I said, if in this time of space, you pick the positive one, there he describes that there is room here for growth and freedom, which is almost impossible to think of. So that was 3 weeks. I never knew that I was writing this speech for myself. That in June, I got the call that my grandson, 13 months old, had drowned in a pool. And luckily my son-in-law pulled him out, and we had 7 days in the ICU, and we were in deep chaos. And on day 2, we just decided we didn't have any control, and we didn't know what to do. So we as a family locked arms and we surrendered, and we said, we're going to just trust you that you are ahead of us and you got this, and that we're just going to trust you. And it seemed like he just walked into the room, and everyone's was like reprogrammed like an orchestra to know where we're going. You could be in trouble right now listening to this talk, because 50% of you who are listening have had some trouble that's just recently happened and you never told anyone. We went out to social media and told people about it. We told people because other people were immediately sending us notes that they had been through something like that, that they hold on, stick with this. My grandson, my son, who's 13 months old, woke up after this. You can do it. Hang in here. So we just put out things of faith, and we just did it. On day 6, they tell you it's going the wrong direction. On day 7, they're going to do it again. And I had one of the most inspiring things I've ever had. I sent my note to my daughter today. And I said how much I loved her. And I said, you're the most inspiring person I've ever seen. On day 7, the doctor who we loved, and you know, doctors, after a pandemic and after a situation like of having gone in every day and you're in an ICU and it's always heartache there. She came up and said, Jenny, I just do not want to tell you what I have to tell you. And Jenny stood up and said, you don't have to. So listen, doc, I just want to tell you how much we appreciate you and how much we know that you loved our son, and we love you. And as soon as she said, I love you, in the worst moment where every person normally tells the doctor, we hate you, this woman broke, and every nurse and every doctor in the room broke. And it was like something big. On day 8, my grandson gave his heart to a 4-month-old who's now home at 13 months old. He gave his liver to a boy that we prayed for on the floor to get better, and not knowing he's going to get my grandson's liver, but he's home and he's well. And he gave his 2 kidneys to a 42-year-old woman who you can't believe that God can give you 2 kidneys, and she's perfect. And at some point here in the next 6 months, my daughter and her husband get to do this. All throughout this time, God was saying to us, listen, hang in here with me. It's a bigger story. You got to keep with me. Something's big here. And I knew, and I would tell Jenny, a day in heaven's 1,000 years. And So when I die, his name was Bo. I said, he was named after me, our last name. And I said, Bo will have only missed me 3 minutes. And my mom, who helped me write the Two Chairs book, really, before she passed away. And can you imagine, like, Jesus walking Bo into heaven, and there's my mom who has 25 great grandchildren, and she meets him, grabs him. Do you think like Jesus ever gets to hold him again? So, I mean, there's no chance. Here's some news. I just want to tell you that in your worst trouble, the guy who created the whole world digs you, knows your situation is not too hard, wants to talk to you about it because he's got a plan, and it's something good. You can get through this. This is where your friends are. This is who we are as a community. If you're in trouble and you do not know what to do, I want you to call Dave and call me, because I'm going to be there. So we just heard that my daughter now is pregnant. It is so spectacular. He had a vasectomy, had to have a reverse vasectomy. There's no chance. We had an older daughter than this year, and now all of a sudden we've got 4 lives that are now living. And I can only tell you, if your situation is not good, God's not done. And I just want to tell you that I appreciate your prayers for all the people who prayed for us. It made a difference for us, because it somehow, when you believe in someone, it matters. And our teams and all our real estate and all our situations, we can make a difference in other lives by getting involved, by caring. And so I just wanted to share something totally horrific, but somehow every single day something matters. And I want to say one thing. It's so hard to like sell a house, right, when you do something like this. And I want to tell you something just last as a miracle. So the people who bought my daughter's house come in for the final day on the bidding, and the market had already dropped. And so Jenny's in trouble on the market. And this person bid it up past the market, way beyond, comes in, and he is a military guy, a special forces. Stories so wild. Him and his wife have gifts for my daughter. And they said, we know about Bo. When we came in the house, we thought to ourselves, if a young man could give his life so 3 other people would live, we wanted this house. And the wife looked at Jenny and go, we want the blessing of Bo. And so so one of the things is, first, for all the military people on here, I love you. But I just think is that God's a ninja in the midst of all the trouble. And there is answers to some of this. Persevere, don't let something just bug you. Stay friends, tell people you love them. Something great's ahead.
Wow. I'm not going to recap anything, guys. I'm going to let this call end with Bob's words. That story, I mean, so deep, bro. I love you.
I love you too.
Anyways, Deborah, anything you want to say?
I'm trying to keep the emotion together. Thank you for sharing that story. I know it was a challenging time, but wow, so inspirational and so true that some of your relationships, whether it's people on your team, guys, or some of the real estate agents that you serve, or even your clients, sometimes there's bigger things going on in their life that if you just slow down a little bit and go a little deeper, the impact is incredible. And so that story, thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Bob. This call is incredible. I want to push everyone on this call to grow your love for yourself, grow your love for the people you serve. I love everyone in the mortgage industry in this community. And Bob Beaudine, man, can't wait to see you in person. We need to make that happen sooner rather than later. And so grateful for you, man.
Love you both. See you all. Thank you.
Call is a wrap.
Thanks.